Our keynote address will be on the status of destination management around the world. Our first speaker is the Executive Vice President of Residence based in the USA. Supposedly he loves Thailand. I know in the past few days he's been experiencing the local culture up in Chiang Mai. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Mr. Richard Cutting Miller.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I can't dance as well as those guys that were here, so I will stick to tourism. And I would like to talk to you today about the second M in DMMO. And I'm sure many of you know what DMO is, a destination marketing organization. I take it that you guys specialize in marketing. But I want to talk to you about the second M, the management part of destination marketing and management organizations. It's not as sexy as marketing, but I'm hoping to make it sexy for you. A little bit about residence consultancy. We do advisory work for real estate, tourism, and economic development agencies and organizations around the world, and help cities, communities, countries look forward 20, 30 years into the future to understand what is our destination going to be when we grow up. How can we improve the destination? How can we make the quality of the destination even better than it is today? We do this because residents and frankly, I believe yourselves, are passionate about places. You look at a picture of Paris and you can't help but enjoy the beauty, the culture, the artwork that you see in Paris. Places that inspire us, quiet, beautiful, natural places. This is a picture in British Columbia. It really resonates with the nature of humanity and really tells us who we are. Places also create energy. Last night we had this terrific performance, a cultural performance, and it energized the people at the dinner. And then you walk outside and you see the market full of energy. Vendors selling silk and food and clothing and furniture, and it really gives you a sense of this place as a destination. And it creates connections. We do that every day. Last week was one of the biggest festivals in Thailand and this region, the Lantern Festival, and it really creates a sense of belonging. It communicates humanity, no matter if you're a resident of that place or a visitor to that place. And then, of course, destinations create prosperity. It's not only the tourism economy that we create, but it helps to create a sense of place for the people who live there. That's why we're passionate about places. We work in many places. Over the last 30 years, I think I've worked in 75, 80 countries around the world, about 400 cities. Currently, Residence Consulting is doing tourism master plan and destination development strategies for mostly North American cities, a little bit of work in the Caribbean, and a little bit of work in Europe. But I want to relate some of that work to you today when I talk about destination management. First of all, this should be no surprise to you. If you've been paying attention for the last 30 years, you know that travel and tourism is one of the largest industries in the world, and that you know it's growing particularly fast, faster than automobiles, faster than electronics, in some cases faster than technology. This chart shows the UNWTO international arrivals over the last, 50 years or so. When I started with the World Travel and Tourism Council in 1991, there were about 400 million international tourists around the world. 400 million seemed like a lot at that time. Now we're pushing 1.4 billion visitors, and in a few years' time we'll be reaching 2 billion visitors around the world. The numbers are astounding. people are now talking about overtourism and what that means, which is why management, the DMO, the management portion of your job, is becoming more and more important. But here's the catch. The past is very different than what you will see in the future. Things are changing. It's not just more people walking in the door. It's not more people coming on airplanes. It's not just building new hotels for people to visit and to sleep in. The industry is changing, and you need to be ready for it. Why? What's going on? What's changed? What's different over the last 10, 20 years? A lot of things. Let's start with this. Conspicuous leisure. Many years ago, the persona of people was all wrapped up into what they purchased. Their clothing, their cars, their TVs, their housing. Conspicuous consumption was really the definition of who we were, what we did, what our place in society was. That's changed a little bit. Now it's all about conspicuous leisure. Where we go, what we do, how we do it, and how many people, how many friends and family know that we've been there when we've done it. We've taken the selfie. They know we've been to Angkor Wat, taken the selfie. There's the Eiffel Tower back of me. We've been to London, see Big Ben. We've been to the Great Wall of China. It's all about conspicuous leisure and telling our friends and sharing with our family and friends what we've been doing. We've done some research about the most affluent households in the world and asked them, what's important to you? They told us now what's important to them is their smartphone. Can't go anywhere without your smartphone nowadays. But after that, it's all about leisure, time, working from home if possible, but also traveling. It's no longer clothing and cars and gadgets beyond the cell phone. It's more about what I experience, the places I go, how I use my free time. Of course, one of the big macro trends is Asia. This area of the world is exploding in travel. It's exploding in numbers. This shows the growth in Chinese travel over the last few years. When I started working with WTTC in 1991, we did a mission to Beijing. There were a couple cars on the road, mostly for special delegations, but tons of bicycles. But no one was traveling outside of China. Now, of course, everyone goes to Hong Kong and Macau, and they do their shopping, and they have their holidays, and also to Taiwan, but also to Europe, to North America, to South America. I'm working with a client right now in Tucson, Arizona. I don't know how many people know where Tucson, Arizona is, but it's Western desert. The tourism people in Tucson, Arizona want the Chinese travelers. It's a Western destination, cactus, and they particularly are excited about the opportunity for attracting Chinese visitors. The demographics, of course, are changing. Everyone's crazy about the millennials, the 20 to 35-year-old visitors, the young families, the cool kids, the selfie takers. Everyone wants to build that target market. But the reality is there's a lot of old people like myself. I'm not quite 65, but I'm getting there. And the difference between millennials and seniors is seniors have already paid off their house. They've already put their kids through college. They've already filled their house with beautiful furniture and artwork. What else do they have to do? They have time. They have time to travel. They have the money to travel. They have the means to travel, and they have the health, in many cases, to travel. So we're talking about 20 or 30 years more of consumption leisure travel. It's a big deal, but destinations have to be ready for seniors. Seniors aren't going bungee jumping. They're not taking runs or going for excessive exercise. they look at travel and leisure very differently than the millennials. Then there's this trend called localism. I think it's best explained by this picture, beer. It used to be in North America all about Budweiser and Miller beer. Now, if you go to Portland, Oregon, it's all about craft brew. It's about specialty products that people enjoy, and actually they go to places to experience those specialty products. So you can see the trend here. The big names in beer are losing market share, but the imported beers, the craft brew beers, are coming up in market share. It's taking over the world. If I do lots of research and work with destinations all over the world, everyone wants to be a craft brew destination. Well, the reality is not everyone can do that or be that, but it's a sign of how localism is playing into the development of destinations as we move forward. The sharing economy. This, in many ways, has changed the world. In 2017, Airbnb expected to have 4 million listings on their website. 4 million. That's a big number, but really, how big is that number? This hotel probably has, 200 rooms in it. That means there are 20,000 new hotels just like this that didn't exist 5 years ago. 20,000 hotels as big as this. That changes the dynamics of destinations. No longer is it about, hiring a hospitality consulting firm to estimate the demand and the supply of hotel rooms. They can't control this. Airbnb is exploding. People are traveling different. They're traveling with their families. They're traveling to experience the local culture and live locally. Air route development. Many people said that the Airbus 380, the double-decker that carries 400, 500, 600 passengers, was going to change the world. Well, it hasn't changed the world. It has served well in many city pairs that are highly congested, but what has changed the world are these smaller planes that fly longer distances, that connect Cleveland, Ohio to Paris, France. That is what is changing the world on the air route development side. You can see the explosion. You know the numbers here in terms of air passengers and how that is changing the dynamics of different destinations. It's not only Paris, but it's Marseille, it's Lyon, it's smaller destinations where people would like to move. These trends are driving a disproportionate number of travelers to cities. Over the last 5 years, the number of visits to cities has nearly doubled. In the last couple of years, it's still increasing about 16% per year. But there are risks to this. Pollution. This, of course, is a picture of Beijing. This could be a picture of Los Angeles. This could be a picture of Rio de Janeiro. This could be a picture of Rome, Italy. Pollution is a detractor from tourism. As pollution increases, visitor numbers tend to fall. People are very much aware of what's happening in the environment and how tourism impacts the environment and how the environment is impacting tourism. Terrorism, of course, is something we live with day by day. This chart shows what happened in Istanbul in 2016. A 30% drop in traffic to Istanbul as a result of the terrorist attack. The good news is we've done the economic forecasting on Istanbul and a number of other destinations that have suffered terrorism attacks, and the numbers do come back. Travel and tourism is resilient. It takes 4 or 5 years to return to the level that you would have expected had the terrorist attack not happened, but it is resilient. There is 2 years or so where there is a downfall and it hurts the industry, but of course it's always on the radar. And then of course peak globalization. I'm an American. Sometimes I'm not as proud as I could be of being an American. We've had a very tough couple of years, but we have to understand that politics does play into tourism. Over the last couple of years, the numbers of visitors to the United States has declined. Hopefully that will fix itself. In some cases, as we've heard earlier, there's just, frankly, too many visitors. You go to Venice, you go to Barcelona, you go to Beijing, you go to London, you go to New York, it's crowded. There are too many people in the same place at the same time, especially during season. What are we going to do about it? Frankly, this has happened because you guys did your job very, very well. You marketed your destinations, you did your job very well, people are coming to visit. Now we have to understand the implications of those visits. So what's the meaning of life for a destination marketing organization? First of all, we need to shift some of the resources. You're spending a lot of money on promotion and advertising. We need to shift some of that money, some of the resources, some of the people into managing your destination. Secondly, you guys are experts in digital. You are communicating through Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram with your visitors all around the world. Now we have to start using those same tools, those same experiences, those same systems for managing tourism. Not only marketing tourism, but managing tourism. And then looking at tourism management as your responsibility. There are no other organizations in your city, in your state, in your province that have the full view of that place as an experience-producing place. It is your responsibility to manage the quality of experience, not only for visitors, but for the residents who live there. It's a waking up call. So how do we do this? How do we make this transition from destination marketing organization to a destination management, marketing, and management organization? First of all, is figure out what you do and what you do well. Capitalize on what you do well and figure out what you need to do better to enhance that. So you need to step back, do a little bit of research, and understand, are our parks and nature a good experience? Do we provide good museums and attractions to our visitors? Are our restaurants doing a good job? Are our hotels delivering for the visitor? We do this on a regular basis. You may have seen, if you were at World Travel Market a month ago, we released our latest research on world's best cities. We quantify the experience in cities around the world and publish that research. We use social media resources to do that. The data exists. You don't have to go out and create surveys and to do the work. That work is already available for you. So you can download the research and take a look at the world's best cities and how they compare and contrast to each other. Destination benchmarking will give you a platform from which you can start making decisions. You need to understand where you are today and how that will influence your future. So shifting from marketing to management begins with benchmarking your place as a destination. Secondly, make a plan. There are a number of cities right now in the United States that are undertaking tourism master plans, destination development strategies. There are a couple cities, I've been watching the news here in the region that are doing the same. Some are doing it in Europe. But this is a new effort, this is a new area of research and planning. You need to create a plan for your destination that everyone can agree with, that is good for your visitors and for your community. I'll give you one good example. Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. 5 years ago, they decided that we just hosted the 2010
Winter Olympic Games, and frankly, they were terrific, but we haven't figured out what we're going to be in 10 years from now. So they engaged and produced a tourism master plan to figure that out. We worked with over 2,000 local stakeholders, residents, government officials to understand what are the issues. How does Vancouver, British Columbia need to change over the next 10 years in order to be a better destination for tourism? You would have thought maybe they need to expand their convention center or do more attractions, but you would have been wrong. It turns out that Vancouver, one of the biggest issues was late night transportation. Like, who cares about late night transportation? Well, the subway system closes at midnight. But the bars, the clubs, they don't close till 2 o'clock in the morning. How do people get home? There's not enough taxis at 2 o'clock in the morning to get people home. So one of the issues that the Tourism Master Plan decided to recommend was keeping the subways and the buses going a couple hours more so people could actually get home. That's a nice thing to do. For the Mies side of the business, it was all about liquor laws and regulations. If you wanted to throw a big party like we did last night, you couldn't serve wine, you couldn't serve drinks unless you filled out 300 pages of a license. So every Mies, every convention, every exhibition that came in would have to do that paperwork. It was a total burden for them. Next, you need to partner. You can't do this work by yourself as a DMO. You need to partner with the community organizations. You need to build on the strengths of those organizations to make this happen. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, there is a famous folk singer called Woody Guthrie. Woody Guthrie donated his musical archives to the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You think, American folk singer. I could sing a song for you, but you probably wouldn't know which one it was. Very famous singer. But now Tulsa, Oklahoma is the center of folk music research. They've used this as an anchor to build other things for their visitors, like this downtown stadium. When they built it, there was parking lots everywhere. There was no place to eat, no place to shop, and no place to stay in a hotel. By working together with the arena people, they've made that happen. So now there are hotels, there are restaurants, there are shops. Once you leave the concert or once you leave the basketball game, you now have things to do. The gathering place. Tulsa is very lucky to have a foundation called the Kaiser Foundation. They made their money in Tulsa many years ago through the oil industry. Tulsa was the capital of the oil industry in the United States before Houston. Well, the gathering place is 300-acre park, the biggest central park built in the United States in the last 100 years. The Kaiser Foundation wrote a check for $250 million. Nice. I would like to have that kind of money. But what they did was they put a condition on making this donation. They said, the tourism guys, you can't talk about it. You can't tell anyone. You can't market this park for 1 year. This is all about the first year giving this park to the residents of Tulsa, increasing the quality of life for the people who live there. So now, after 1 year, they can start marketing this park and use it as a lure to bring in meetings and leisure visitors. Organizing. All of you have a chief marketing officer in your organization, but do you have a chief experience officer? Do you have a vice president of destination development? Do you have a vice president of community affairs? These are the people whose only job is to think about the future of the destination. If you don't have this person, if you don't have this office, you're missing out on the important future of building your destination. And then, of course, develop. Develop your products, develop your programming, and develop your places. This is the easy part. This is the hardware of your destination, whether it's new museums, new highways, new infrastructure. One of the greatest case studies in this regard is Bilbao, the Guggenheim in Bilbao. The day this opened in Bilbao, it changed the nature of Bilbao as a destination. People started coming. Like, I've never heard of Bilbao until yesterday. There's this new Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao. Maybe I should go see this place. An attraction, a product of this nature can really change the impact on a destination. This is the coolest thing in the world. The High Line in New York City. It used to be an abandoned railroad track running through the West Side, the West Village, the meatpacking district of Manhattan. Now it's a park. It's 2 miles long. It's a linear park. The amount of people that go to visit and to enjoy the High Line is amazing. And it draws people there. They come, they go, they shop, they eat, they enjoy the High Line as an attraction. Then there are events and festivals. Everyone has hundreds of events and festivals. But have you really taken a good look at which of your events and festivals move the needle on tourism? We worked with a client in Cleveland, Ohio, which has 3,000 events a year. That's 10 events a day. How many of those do you think actually bring in tourism to Cleveland, Ohio? We estimated about 100. Not bad. 100, that's 2 a week. Then we looked at which of these events and festivals actually promote the brand, actually enhance the brand for the destination. Cleveland is this cool and trendy place. They want to be a craft brew kind of place. Which of these events actually enhance that connection to the Cleveland brand? 5. So if you're deciding, there we go. If you're deciding on where to put your money, where to put your time and resources, it's those 5 events and festivals that you need to focus on. This is something new and cool in Montreal. It's called C2. It's using new technology, using virtual reality, using different spaces to bring a new experience to events and festivals. It's very much like South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, you may have heard. It connects the brand to the place. That's what you need to focus on. Don't focus on 3,000 events. Focus on the 5 things that you do that are different from the next place. And then develop places. This is as simple, this is the back alley next to my office in Vancouver. It used to be dirty. Homeless people used to sleep there. Unfortunately, there was drug use there. It's a dirty, dingy alley in Montreal. What happened was, a couple of years ago, someone came up with an idea, well, let's clean it up. Let's spray wash it, get it clean. Let's put some paint on the walls and put some paint on the floor. Let's put a basketball hoop up on the wall. Let's put some basketballs out there. This is one of the most Instagrammed places in all of Vancouver at this moment. There was a girl band from Japan that did a music video here. It exploded. Millions of views. Everyone that comes to Vancouver wants to come to my office. Placemaking. It's not only for enhancing the quality of the visit, but for enhancing the quality of life for residents who live there. And then managing this process. You need to think about managing your destination like air traffic control. People are tweeting about you every moment of the day. People are posting Instagram photos of you every moment of the day. You need to be watching that in real time and managing that in real time. And then monitoring. Things change over time.
You need to understand what changes if you put in a new festival, if you do enhancements to hotels or restaurants, the experience. How does that impact what you're doing and your results? We have a client in Bermuda that every 9 months reruns their competitive analysis, their benchmarking to see what's moved. 6 months ago, they did a restaurant incentive program that cleans up restaurants and enhances the food quality and the dining experience. By watching their benchmarking against their policy changes, their destination development changes, they're enhancing their destination. I know this is a lot for you, but I wanted to give you a taste of what destinations are doing outside of this area, outside of Thailand, and how destination marketing organizations are moving from DMO to destination marketing and management organizations. So if anyone asks me a question of what the future of marketing is, I would say it's actually management. Thank you very much.